Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration today.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
All right, legends, welcome to another live stream. I don't know if you guys have seen Miro. Holy moly, Miro here to the upside. It's an absolute beast here at the moment. Up 62.9%, almost 63%, give or take. Right, legends, welcome to another live stream. Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin. And yes, okay, I'm going a little bit against the grain. I see everyone is bullish. There's a lot of excitement in the air. Dewald, how on earth can you be careful in a time like this? We are pumping to the upside. Load up those spot bags. We missed it. We need to buy now. Right, legends, I am a very cautious trader, and I trade level to level at the end of the day. And when I see things like this just rampaging here to the upside, I can't help but wonder, what if, legends, what if, right? We are still forming an ABC corrective structure here to the upside that is absolutely just going to, at some point, I'm not saying we can't still get upwards momentum. Definitely, there's still space for upwards momentum, and I will analyze the structure here on the live stream to see, well, is the structure coming to an end? Can we expect a little bit of a deeper retracement and maybe one more wave to the upside? Okay, is this going to be, remember guys, if this is an ABC, right, what is the danger about an ABC? It is a corrective structure, which increases the probabilities that you can even come back all the way down to $74,000 and come and smash those lows again, right? But, I have received some requests inside of our Legends Pro community. Dewald, how are you counting the structure? I'm very curious. Why is it not an impulsive structure at the moment? This structure can still turn into an impulsive structure, and this is what I want to take everyone through today. I've received a lot of questions about, Dewald, I see some people are counting this as a fifth wave that ended over here. Okay, I want to see how they counted that structure. So I will take you through my thinking. Remember to smash up that like button. Okay, we will go look at some scalping trading opportunities inside of this range. We will go mark out some areas of critical resistance to the upside where we could potentially see a massive rejection. And right, if you're not already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe here to the channel, because this is where we do pure technical analysis. I do not pick sides. I do not trade with emotions. Okay, I need to stick to what the chart is showing me. Right, legends, I have not FOMO'd into any trades. But when I see pumps like this on Miro, 62% up, okay, Ethereum is starting to hit some resistance here to the upside. Very interesting. Nothing goes up in a straight line, right? Yes, can we still, let me put my bullish hat on for a moment over here, legends. Let me put the emotional bullish hat on and say, okay, if this bad boy pulls back over here and it starts hitting support, woo, that's going to be an epic long year to the upside that's going to smash resistance. Nothing just does that, legends. Nothing, okay? Everything moves in waves. You have a pump, you have a retracement. You have a pump, you have a retracement. You have a nice little big pump to the upside, you're gonna get a retracement. Okay? The question is that a bullish retracement, or was just this simply a corrective structure and it's gonna fall down and come and claim the lows once again? So this is what we will analyze today here on the live stream. And something else that I want to point out, something that's making me a little bit careful, for the lack of a better word, okay? A little bit careful. And I will say hi to the beautiful community in a moment. I see the comments are streaming in, okay? I see people are saying Bitcoin looks bullish. Think again. Some people are saying, how on earth can you be a careful? How dare you put on your thumbnail, be careful? Okay, how dare you, Dewald? How dare you, right? Legends, it's just about looking at the structures at the end of the day. Something else, okay, I just have to point out over here is, and I'm sure most of you have already watched and looked at this morning, is this. Okay, legends, this concerns me a little bit, okay? And I don't mind that we are inside greed territory at the moment. What concerns me a little bit is that we jumped from 47 yesterday. We were in extreme fear a couple of weeks ago, and then the last couple of weeks we were in fear territory. And then yesterday we moved from, we were, you can see here, we were in the 29 territory. We jumped from 29 to 47, and in one day we jumped into greed. It's just happening too fast. It's not happening gradually. We go into, from the fear, we go into neutral, we stay in neutral for a week or two. Then people are like, okay, this is starting to look good. We start moving into the greed territory. Then we go into extreme greed. Okay, it's just happening very fast. And I think it's just something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. I am not calling for a massive dump here to the downside, legends. It's just, it's happening extremely fast. To jump from 47 in one day to 72, right? Where the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and the rest of the markets are still in fear territory at the moment. Maybe everyone is talking about the decoupling. Okay, legends, let's go and analyze the structure first here on the higher time frame. Remember to smash up that like button on your way in. Fifth wave finished around January. Fifth wave finished around January. Oh, you're talking about the daily time frame, the fifth wave to the upside. William, I can talk about that as well. Hi, Dewald. On the weekly, did we complete 5 wave? Now going for an ABC to the downside? Yes, I can. William, very good question. I can go through that scenario as well. But first, let's focus on this little scenario or this little structure here on the 2-hour time frame. Let's focus on this little structure over here. Okay, because for me, there's a lot of trading opportunities inside of this structure. I don't care whether we're going to $500,000 or whether we're going back to $30,000. There's a lot of trading opportunities. There's a lot of shorts. There's a lot of longs here to the upside. So let's first go and analyze the structure. And I just quickly want to answer the question that I've been asked yesterday to an extent. Okay. So legends, at the moment, the structure can still be counted as an ABC to the upside. You can see that it looks very 3-wavy. You have to consider the entire structure. You can't just look at this leg. Okay, so that's the first thing I just want to get out the way. Let me put the music a little bit softer. There we go. Right, the music is a little bit loud. Okay, there we go. And okay, so legends, looking at the structure from this little pivot, it looks very 3-wavy. I mean, we can all see it. It looks like a lightning bolt. Okay, the only time that this structure will turn bullish is maybe we continue, maybe let's say we still continue here to the upside. We make another leg to the downside. a higher low, a nice little higher low, and we do this. Once you see a structure like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you see this, then it is a 5-wave impulse to the upside. It's a double lightning bolt, if you will. It's not a 3-wave structure. This is going to become very interesting when we see a 5-wave structure to the upside. Okay? This at the moment, where price is at the moment, it's not a 5-wave structure. It's still a 3-wave structure. After we see this, the retracement is going to become very interesting for a load up zone. We have to see a 5-wave impulse to the upside. It's the only structure that can take us back to the all-time highs and even higher, right? You need an impulsive structure. Right, so where the structure is now, and I see maybe, I'm not sure where the confusion is coming in. Some people are saying, but I can count 5 waves in this structure. That is perfectly fine. I can also count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of this structure. Very complex corrective structure in a B or in a 2. Remember, this can be a 2, this can also be a 1. Okay, probabilities for this to be a 1 and a 2 is low at the moment until we see this. If we see this, then I'm going to say, okay, the market has genuinely surprised us over here. I've seen the most shallowest of shallow retracement for wave 2, which is low probability. Maybe 1, maybe 2 out of 100 times you see a structure with a 1 and a 2 with a shallow retracement up until the 0.236. So for now, it is still, whether it's an ABC, a WXY, however you want to count the structure, it is still 3 wavy. Still 3 wavy. I'm not sure, right? You need to see this. I think maybe where some of the confusion is coming in is that an A wave can be a 5-wave structure. A B wave can be any complex corrective structure, but is always a 3-wave corrective structure. So you can count this as either a triangle, okay, where you formed an A, B, C, D, E, and now we're rampaging here to the upside, or you can count this corrective structure as a W, X, Y. Okay, C waves also has 5 waves inside of it. It has 5 waves. C waves always has 5 waves inside of it. Always. Not 3 waves, 5 waves. A wave can be a 3-wave structure and a 5-wave structure. B wave, always a 3-wave structure, and a C wave must be a 5-wave structure. So if you can count 5 waves in this structure, by all means, we can roll over here and come and retrace this entire move that we've made until we land on support. Definitely a possibility, but I can tell you guys now, if we fall down here, all the way down here to $83,000, $84,000, it significantly reduces the possibility for a 5-wave structure. The retracement is too deep. What you would like to, I would actually like to see this wave still continue a little bit to the upside. I would like to see, let me put it like this, okay? Let me make it clear so hopefully everyone can understand. Let's take this out the way. Let's paint out the bullish case scenario. In the most bullish case scenario, this is what you want to see. Okay, let me switch on the line. Let's make it a primary. This is what you want to see in a bullish case scenario. That is the structure that you want to see. More importantly, the retracement that happens after you create your 5th wave has to be a 3-wave structure. Then you can retrace as deep as you want, as long as you do not surpass the 786. So if you take your trend base, your FIP retracement from the low to wherever this high is going to be made, then you want to. 382 is a little bit shallow, but between the 382 all the way to the 786, perfectly fine for retracement for this little structure. All the way. This little box over here, perfect. But you have to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this entire structure still needs a 4 and a 5. Okay, now interestingly, what is happening inside of this structure at the moment? Okay, so now, right, legends, that is the most bullish case scenario that you would like to see. If we're going to form a 5-wave structure here to the upside, we can even continue up until $100,000. But it's not going to come without an retracement, because you still need a 4. Okay, there's your retracement. You still need a 4. And then you go up and you take the high again. So once we see this 5-wave structure, that's going to be beautiful, right? That's going to create a little bit more of hopium to say that, well, then there's a possibility for the low to be in. But it's, you know, the market is unfortunately never guaranteed, legends. At the end of the day, this corrective structure is what's going to give me the clue whether I should open up a swing position. Even if I see a 5-wave structure, I'm going to say, okay, now I have a big tick. Now we have a big bullish tick for momentum, and even to go and claim the all-time highs and go beyond $120,000, $130,000, who knows? $500,000, I don't know where the price of Bitcoin is going to go, but this is a massive tick once we form. Right, let me just balance my mic before it moves over here. Yeah, okay. This is going to be a big tick. Then the second tick is, how do we correct? Okay, we have to correct in, like you want to see that choppiness. You want to see price overlapping. It needs to be boring and slow to the downside. It needs to chop, okay? Fall a little bit, correct, fall a little bit, correct. You want it to be slow and gentle to the downside. That is usually a corrective structure. That, okay, the choppiness, the confusion, the overlapping, the waves doesn't really make sense. Because I can tell you guys now, impulsive waves are very easy to count from an Elliott wave perspective. It's the corrective structures that are difficult to count. And when they become difficult to count, that is the clue. When a structure becomes difficult to count, you know that it's corrective and not impulsive. Okay, once this little bad boy forms here to the upside, once this little bad boy, okay, the good boy, that's what we want, right? That's what we want. Once this little structure forms to the upside and you start falling 1, 2, and it just gets aggressive to the downside, it might be another 5-wave structure to the downside. And I can give you guys an example of where this happened. Not so long ago, this actually happened. If I go here onto the 4-hour time frame, I want to show you guys an example why a 5-wave structure is never guaranteed. Okay, let's look at, I mean, yeah, this was a beautiful example. Okay, well, there was many, okay, but that was a bullish one. So let me show you an example of a bullish 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. An insane bullish structure. But look at how quickly we fell to the downside. Extremely fast, extremely impulsive, and what happened? We took the low. And this, I remember this, I'm not sure if you guys remember, we counted this as a 5-wave structure and we said, okay, we need a 3-wave structure, we need to form a higher low, we want to see it a slow corrective structure in order to confirm momentum back to the upside. And then it collapsed here to the downside. It took the low. So even 5-wave structures are not guaranteed to make a higher low for continuation, but at least it is one tick. You need this tick as well to get confirmation. It needs to be a 3-wave structure, right? And then, okay, here's another example where it actually did play out. Okay, let's look at this little structure over here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. Also 5-wave structure, double 1, 2. But look at, we fell fast. Okay, we started the fall very fast. We chopped, but then we had this nice little high retracement to the upside, which invalidated further impulses to the downside. This is a 3-wave corrective structure that found support, okay, and bounced and took us to all-time highs, $110,000. This was the structure where everything started. This was the most beautiful structure. And this is what we need to see. I mean, from a simplicity perspective, without going into detail, we can just say this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC. WXY, lightning bolt, corrective structure, you make a higher low and you continue momentum to the upside. But you need this structure in order to get this structure. Yes, they can invalidate themselves, but it's, I would say, you cannot start an impulse to the upside and go to $130,000 from where price is right now if this structure is not a 5-wave structure. Yes, there is the risk that you form a 5-wave structure and it takes the low. That's always a risk, but you cannot form a 3-wave structure to the upside, a 3-wave structure to the downside and go to all-time highs. Cannot happen. Right. So let me clean up the scribble over here. Take us back to where we are here at the moment. Right, so legends, what I'm basically saying, just to bring this back to where price is at the moment, you cannot have a 3-wave structure, a corrective structure, and we just go back to all-time highs. You need a 4 and a 5. Okay. Remember to smash up the like button for the education. I hope you guys find value in the education that I do provide here on the YouTube live stream every day. I mean, every single time I do a YouTube live stream, it's packed with education and alpha from a structural perspective. And right, legends, what I want to do now is I want to focus on this little structure over here. Let's focus on this little structure to see, well, can we still go higher? What do we need to look out for? And because remember, even if this is an ABC to the upside, the C wave has to have 5 waves. There has to be 5 waves inside of this structure. Okay, so can it be coming to an end? Okay, so now let's go here onto, I'm just trying to figure out which time frame will work best. Let's check it out. Okay, let me take some of the fibs here out the way. And maybe before I continue, let me go through some comments. I just want to see where is everyone's headspace at. Okay. Thank you, Dewald. Ocken, absolute pleasure, man. Man stuck in stables. Let the party begin. Let's go. Yes, I mean, there is a legends. I can see there is a lot of bullishness in the air. I mean, I don't even have to ask the community. I can see it, right? We are inside of greed. Altcoins are popping here to the upside. Miro has done over 60% here to the upside. For some reason, Miro is extremely bullish. Have no idea why, because maybe there's some fundamental news, okay? But I mean, whoa, it took a beating. Miro took a beating here to the downside, okay? It is, you know, it has a lot of catching up to do, right? If we're going to sustain the bull market and the momentum to the upside, maybe we get dominance to crash. I also want to go through USDT dominance. I also want to go through BTC dominance. We need to look at everything, put the puzzle pieces together, okay? And for those of you that has been following me for a while, you know, okay, ETH, you know, if I go here onto the daily time frames, you all know I have been buying. Okay, although I'm talking about a potential bearish structure that could still play out, right? We will go and analyze that. I have been buying ETH over here. I have been buying ETH over here. I told everyone it's breaking trend. It's hitting corrective structure targets. I've been accumulating ETH. I've been accumulating ICP in this zone. In this zone, I have been buying ICP. Okay, from a spot perspective. No swing trades, legends. Not yet. It's not time for me to enter any swing trades yet. I have been accumulating Link. I have been accumulating Doge. Okay. And there's also something very interesting that I would like to show everyone. Not all altcoins are created equal. I have a red list. I'm not sure if everyone can see it here behind my face. I have a red list over there. And a red list. I've just been going through a couple of altcoins, and there's a reason why some of these altcoins are in my red list, and why some of them are yellow, and why some of them are blue, and the green ones, I haven't gone through all the green ones yet, but not all altcoins are created equal. So I have been buying. Okay, so please don't think that I am this perma bear and I am just sitting on the sidelines. I have been trading Bitcoin to the upside, to the downside. I can be a bull and a bear in the same breath during the same day from a day trading perspective. But from a longer term perspective, medium to longer term perspective, I have been buying altcoins. More specifically, I've been buying 6 altcoins that I have aggressively been accumulating. Right, during the last 3 weeks, when everyone was too fearful to buy, okay, but I have shared it here on the live stream. You know, for the people that's, been here, you all know that I have been buying. I've told everyone I've been buying. Some of you might have think that I'm absolutely smoking my socks, and right, some of you might have been buying with me. I don't know, right? But I'm not a financial advisor at the end of the day. You need to do your own research. I can just tell you guys what I have been doing. So if you are now FOMOing into trades, please be careful, because even here on ETH, right, you're hitting resistance at the moment. And I can tell you guys now, looking at the structures, okay, let me go here to the regular scale. For me to have confirmation, or nothing's ever guaranteed in the market, but to have better confirmation that maybe something is brewing over here. Maybe we are going to see an altcoin season that no one is expecting. Okay, just maybe. I still have my bullish hat on. Okay, when I buy and accumulate some of my favorite altcoins, this high on ETH needs to be claimed properly. Okay. Yes, I have been accumulating over here. Okay. But for a little bit better confirmation, okay, you want this high to be smashed. You want to see that. Okay. Because then you're starting to change market structure. That is a good confirmation. Even if you take the low again, when I see that, it's usually a sign of a reversal. Price is starting to turn around, even if you claim the low. Okay, so obviously what you would like to see happen is you make a higher high, you create a 3-wave structure, you make a higher low, and then, okay, off you go. Right? And this 3-wave corrective structure is usually the best buying opportunity. You don't FOMO, you wait, you sit on your hands, you say, okay, I see you, Mr. ETH. I see the higher high. That looks good, right? I'm going to wait for the retracement. I'm going to buy over here. Exactly what I did with XRP. I'm not sure who was here. I know Elizabeth was here. I'm not sure if she's in the live stream. I know some of you have been here when I missed the pump on XRP, the initial pump on XRP, a 40% pump on XRP, and I told everyone I'm waiting for the retracement. I'm not buying yet. Okay, so just to quickly go through that, legends, this is what I'm waiting for. Okay, if I look at XRP, I know it looks a little bit messy, but let's just focus here on this little structure. I actually have it circled because I have spoken about this many times, right? Let's go to the log scale. Okay, this is the breakout I missed. I didn't play this breakout. And we were all here on the live stream and we were tracking this together. We spoke about XRP here, and this was on July, the 8th of July, 2024. This is where I started speaking about XRP. I said, guys, it looks good. It really looks good. But what I would like to see is for market structure to change. I want us to claim this high. That's exactly, you guys can go back to June or July, June. You can go check out those live streams. This is exactly what I said. I want this high to be claimed. I'm not going to play the breakout. And then most of the community members here in the live stream played the breakout. And it just pumped here to the upside, right? Absolutely just pumped here to the upside. 40% here to the upside. And then people wrote comments in the stream to say that, haha, you missed it, Dewald, you missed it. And I said, no, I wanted to see market structure change. Look at all these highs. I wanted XRP to claim these highs to show me that market structure is starting to change. I want a confirmed buy. I'm not just going to FOMO into a trade over here. Okay, because I wanted to buy a big bag, I wanted to buy a big bag. And then we created this. Now we have a higher high. I was like, game on. Okay, and I told everyone I'm going to wait for the retracement. And if price continues, I'm most probably just going to miss it. Or I'm going to find another way to get in. Maybe play a breakout, whatever the case might be. And then, true as Bob, it retraced. And what happened? It formed a higher low. Okay, so now you have a higher high compared to all of these highs over here. You're breaking market structure. You have a higher low. And on the 5th of August, the bloodbath. I think it was the Japanese or the Chinese interest rate hike. I can't remember what it was. And this is where I bought XRP. Quite a significant bag. And I rode it all the way up. And I think I took profits over here. I took profits over here. I took profits over here. And I basically took out my initial investments plus a little bit of profits, and I left the moon bag. Okay, and this is exactly what I'm waiting for on many of the altcoins. You know, if you have an altcoin that you are watching at the moment and you haven't bought yet, wait, be patient. Patient rewards, I can tell you guys now. Okay, even if I look at ETH now, you still have lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. You still have lower highs, you still have lower highs. Guess what? This is still a lower high. We are not out the woods just as yet. The market needs to show you the way. Okay, let it break out. If you haven't bought anything just as yet, let it break out. Let it break out and let it show you strength. Let that be your buying opportunity after you have seen that, because now you have confirmation. You have a higher high, and the chances of making a higher low is then great because now you have better confirmation to get into the market. This is where you buy. Not here, not here. You buy the retracement. Okay. Right, legends. So, and for those of you that do have spot bags and that have been buying with me, I mean, you know, guys, for me, it's a dollar cost average scenario over here, right? This was just for me a dollar cost average scenario. But I mean, I can zoom into the corrective structure here on ETH, and I can show you guys why. Why did I decide to start buying over here? There was many reasons why, and I have gone through the live stream explaining to everyone why am I buying. Very scary. Okay, we're going to go down to $72,000. We're going to go down to $68,000. When everyone was screaming for $72,000 and $68,000, I was buying ETH, I was buying ICP, I was buying Doge, I was buying Link. Okay, because I like to buy fear. Can it still go and claim the lows? Yes, because the market structure has still not changed. And I can tell you guys now, I will deploy more. I will still keep on buying up the dips, because that is what I do. I buy the fear. Right, legends, now, okay, let's focus on this little structure. Consider this, Dewald. If December 2024, yeah, was the top, and we are currently in the crypto bear market corrective phase, yeah, then the new bull market could be starting around Q3, Q4 this year. Silverlight, yes, I can see you guys are focusing on the larger time frames, okay, the daily time frame, the 5-way structure to the upside. Let me analyze this local structure over here, and we will dive into the daily time frame and the weekly time frame on Bitcoin. I know exactly what you guys are talking about. Okay, right, and remember to smash up that like button. Okay, Adrian, if you don't respect, get out. Dude, why are you talking about all price action? No one is interested. Well, Adrian, is from an education perspective. If you want to learn to trade the market successfully, this is what the YouTube channel is about. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Right, how's it, bro? What would the retracement price for ETH be? Right, we needed to start changing market structure. We needed to start changing market structure. But for me, it's as easy as, you know, go draw in your support, your resistance boxes. Those areas becomes very interesting buying opportunities. Love the line, I'm not a financial advisor, as if financial advisors are any better at this stuff. Definitely. Why don't you talk about the BTC C3 wave? C3 wave? Adrian, not sure what you mean. Let's talk about C3 wave. C3 wave? Okay. Anyways, legends, let's focus on this local structure, because the beauty about smaller time frames, and this is the advice I usually give the community, is that if you are still struggling with trading and you are still learning to trade, and I know this goes against the grain of what most people teach out there, even inside of the courses that you buy, I highly recommend that you go onto the 1 minute, 2 minute time frames, because every single scenario that I even explain on the larger time frames happens on the smaller time frames as well. Every pattern, every little Elliott wave count, 5-wave structures, ABC corrective structures, bull flags, D-line strategy, where you just play the breakout, support and resistances. It just happens a lot faster on the 1 minute time frame. So you will be able to backtest your strategies on smaller time frames, or be able to practice your trades a lot more quicker on a smaller time frame, because the scenarios play out a lot quicker. If you're going to start learning to trade on the daily time frame, well, okay, it might take you 10 years, because you need to get some trades under the belt. If you're practicing swing failure patterns, you at least want to, say, yeah, I've done 1,000 swing failure patterns. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I need to look out for. I know usually when it's a fake out, I can spot the price action. You need to go into smaller time frames. Anyways, so legends, now what I'm seeing over here, okay, let me get into the meat and potatoes. The reason why we all here. The reason why we all here. Okay, so legends, let me do this from scratch, okay, without going into my saved folders. The one thing that it looks like is forming over here, from the bottom that we formed over here, this is the start of the impulse, okay? And you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 1. This is an ABC flat corrective structure. And if you zoom into the smaller time frames, like the 1 minute and the 3 minute time frame, I cannot count 5 waves here to the upside in this little local structure. So I cannot put my 1 over there. Okay, so what I'm seeing is 1, 2, all of this is still 3. The question is, and this is now where the conundrum comes in, was this 3 and we're now busy with 4 and we're going to make another leg to the upside? Because remember, this little structure here, okay, is a C wave or is a third wave. It's either a C or a 3. They look exactly the same, and this is what is confusing, is that if it's an ABC, you still expect a 5-wave structure here to the upside. If it's a 1, 2, 3, you still expect this leg also to create 5 waves to the upside. And at the moment, all I'm seeing is a 1, 2, 3. That's all I'm seeing at the moment. I don't see the 4 and the 5 yet, because there's a couple of rules that you need to apply. Because I see some people will count this as like this. Okay, there was 3, there was 4. Okay, that is 5. Or that is 5. I'm not convinced, because if I measure the second wave over here, from the end of where wave 1 ended to the end of wave 2, so I'm basically seeing how long was wave 2, from 1 to 2, how long was it? And now I put it here, okay, on top of 3. Let's do this, not to create confusion. Okay, your fourth waves are usually longer, ideally the same length, if not longer than your wave 2s, and that's usually the clue. This is the clue, that as long as price is pumping and it's making these small little retracements, it can be considered as all still part of 3, until you get a larger corrective structure that matches this corrective structure. Then you can say, okay, now it looks like we're busy with wave 4. These little retracements is too short compared to this little bad boy over here. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I measured that correctly. Legends, let me just double check myself over here. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. I just want to measure it again. Okay. Right. Put it on top of number 3. Okay, so now the question is, legends, if this is 3 that ended over here, and there's a reason why I'm putting it over there, this could all still be part of an A, B, C to the downside. And it's already past the 1-to-1 extension, which means that this correction at the moment, if it is a correction, is already longer than this correction. So there's a chance that the fourth wave could be in the making. And the reason I'm putting the 3 over here is because I'm considering an ABC flat. A, B, that takes the high, and maybe we go down here for a C wave that then completes your fourth wave. It finds support inside of this box over here, right? Nice little support for a fourth wave. And then you want to see one more high. You want to see one more high. And then you complete a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. C wave is done. Okay. Very important. So let me just clean it up over here. You have to take your fib from the low of 2 to the high of 3. Okay. And if this is part of a corrective structure, if this is part of a larger corrective structure, your fourth wave has to find support in this box. Okay, it can be the 2.36, it's a very rare target, but this is the most common fourth wave target box. The 0.618 is an invalidation. If this price action falls here to the downside and it taps the 0.618, then you invalidate another fifth wave to the upside. Okay, and you could be or you basically increase the probabilities of coming to take this low as soon as you tap this level. Right. Okay, so legends, now the question is the third wave in? There's a target for a third wave. So there's many ways and tools that you can use to see that, well, how do I know? Okay, what tools do I have at my disposal to say that, well, is this the third wave? What if this is still part? Okay, now the question is, what if this is still part of the momentum that's still grinding to the upside? Okay, I can tell you guys now that this little correction is too short for a fourth wave. Okay, so maybe it's still part of the third wave here to the upside. But what is very interesting to me is that if I take a trend-based fib, let me take this out the way, and I measure wave 1. Whoops. Guys, sorry, I'm clicking on all the wrong buttons over here. 1, 2, 3. Let's say fourth wave is still busy. We're going to go for up for another one. If I take a trend-based fib, okay, I can use wave 1 to calculate third wave targets. The most common third wave target is the 1.618. Okay, for those of you that's been following me for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's go see. Did it tap the 1.618? We reverse it. Look at that. To perfection. That's where it got the rejection. So there's a chance, ladies and gentlemen, that this could be the end of 3. And whatever is happening over here is part of the fourth wave. Now you take your trend-based fib, your fib retracement from number 2 to number 3. Okay, I like to put boxes in there. Okay, this is your most common retracement area for wave 4. And then this little bad boy over here is your invalidation. Okay, I do actually think I have those boxes. Yes, so let me just switch them on over here. Doop, doop. Right, so let me clean up the chart. Let me make it nice and simple so everyone can see. Take this out the way. So what you would like to see is that if we are busy with a corrective structure, the fourth wave needs to bounce inside of the green box. If it taps the invalidation, no more fifth wave to the upside. Right, so this is complicated, legends. So all I'm trying to figure out here is the structure coming to an end. It would be very strange for the structure to come to an end over here and just fall. You still need this. Okay, and these little retracements along the way has been too short. So it looks like the structure still needs one more leg to the upside. Okay, it has to be said it's never easy. There is a chance, what if, right? What if it's now still building the fifth wave and then it just collapses? It's just not a nice look and feel. It's an awfully short corrective structure compared to how long number 2 is. Okay. Right, so legends, this is the structure that I'm currently looking at the moment. This is the structure which I think still has a high probability of playing out. So I think we can still expect a little bit more of upwards momentum, right? Maybe this is an A, B, C flat that's going to form over here. And I can also work out flat targets, right? You take your trend-based fib from the high of 3 to the bottom of this consolidation, you reverse it. Right, and then let's put another box in there. This is your most common B flat targets, but anything above the high is B flat, but your maximum is the 1.382. So you don't want to tap the 1.618. If we're going to move up here and tap the 1.618, all I'm going to do is move my third wave. Then it means that the third wave is still rampaging to the... Guys, the third wave doesn't have targets. It can just go. The most common target is the 1.618. It loves 618 levels. It can go to the 2.618, the 3.618, the 4.618. It can just rock and roll to the upside. Okay, cool. So from a trading perspective, legends, this, I know this looks complicated. How do you count it? Where do you long? Where do you short? Okay, you play the breakouts. Okay, yesterday, and this is what I told the Legends Pro community. Well, they know this by now. Okay, if you zoom in here to the 5-minute time frame, there's a lot of money to be made inside of this structure. I mean, look at this, right? There was a beautiful breakout that formed over here. Beautiful breakout. Okay, you play the, you enter, you can have your TP at the high, you have a beautiful tight stop loss there below the low, you have a 4.8 risk to reward trade. Remember, this is what I spoke about yesterday, guys, how to plan your trades. Okay, beautiful risk to reward. You claimed the high. Okay, when you have a trending market, this is a trending market, ladies and gentlemen. We're outside of the range. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a trending market. That is where the D-line strategy is incredibly powerful. Okay, you just play breakout after breakout after breakout, and right, scooping in those profits until you get stopped out once or twice. Then you know, okay, the structure is starting to roll over. Let me start looking for shorts. Okay. Okay, so that is basically what I'm looking at the moment. I want to see CVD, legends. I want to see what CVD is doing over here. I will go through. It's D-line day on alts. Yes, Mr. SGA is definitely D-line on alts. Satoshi, Dewald, no pullback. Get in while you can. No pullback. Get in while you can. Right. Well, if you can get in with good risk management, by all means. Okay. I want to see what CVD is doing. Ever so slightly bullish CVD still. Okay, there's still some, but only on Bybit. Only on Bybit, right? So there's still some bullish CVD building up locally. But yes, Satoshi, if you can get into a trade with good risk management, by all means, ride the momentum. I'm not saying, guys, be careful, price is just going to fall down. No one wants to trade anymore. I'm saying if you can get in with good risk management by applying your trading strategy, you play the breakout, you know where to put your stop loss, you know where to start taking profits. You know, have the blast. Have the blast to the upside. Maybe there's another trend forming over here. You can play the breakout. Okay. Maybe this is not the end of 3. Maybe 3 still wants to go higher. Just, I mean, look at these small little mini breakouts. Breakout, breakout, breakout. Breakout is just continuing, so you can take advantage of these little moves until you start getting stopped out. Usually when I get stopped out the second and third time, I know that the structure is starting to roll over, and then I pack my D-line strategy away, or I use it in reverse. Okay, you flip. For those of you that struggle, you can flip your chart around. If price starts falling to the downside, you can now play your, look at this, okay? You can play your D-line strategy in reverse. Price, you know, basically price is falling now. Price falls, it consolidates, it forms a trend. You're shorting, basically. You're shorting now to the downside. You use the strategy in reverse. A lot of people, when I started out, when I started using this strategy, I had to reverse my chart. It just, for me, it was easier to long. And if I flipped my chart around, if price was falling, especially during the bear market, I still made a lot of money. Okay. Right. Very interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Cool, agents. Remember, if you'd like to come and trade with me, the links for the exchanges that I use is always here down in the description. Let me zoom in so everyone can see them nice and... Okay, doesn't want to zoom in more than that. Right, I've got weeks, 20% cash back. If you deposit $1,000, you get $200 extra to trade with. You have to leave your money in the exchange for 3 days. If you deposit $100, you get $20 free to trade with. Okay, and also 25% discount on your trading fees. And you can also select this link over here and trade to win a Ferrari. The more volume you move, you basically get entries into winning a Ferrari. And then if you don't like weeks, I also have Bluffin. Both of these exchanges only require an email and a password. Okay. It's also your way to support the channel. So legends, let me now, I see there's a lot of questions around the higher time frames. Okay, the daily time frame. So before we dive into the daily time frame, I just quickly want to go back here onto the 2-hour chart. Okay, I want to delete everything that I've done over here. Let's just delete everything. Okay, I want to work with a blank chart. The one thing I just now want to quickly check out is to say that, well, if momentum is going to continue to the upside, what is the most obvious targets? So guys, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if this is an A, B, C, well, we can go and measure these C wave targets or third wave targets here to the upside. Okay, so you take your trend-based fib. Let's just zoom into this structure. From the low to this high, to the low. I just want to get it exactly. You reverse it. Okay, there we go. Right, so yesterday when I did my live stream, we were here at the 0.618. You guys remember? Okay, we got the rejection. Some of you jumped into the shorts. I told everyone it doesn't look good. There's bullish CVD building up, right? It's already a 3-to-1 risk to reward. That's ideally where I would take profits. So I hope you guys did pay yourself. Everyone that jumped into that short, I hope you did pay yourself because it did play out, okay? But based on the bullish CVD, there was just a high chance for price to reverse and continue up. Okay, and we discussed that all yesterday during the live stream. If you zoom into the smaller time frames, there was a beautiful, you might not see it here on the larger time frames, but there was a beautiful short as we hit this level over here. We're consolidating here by the 786, but the most common targets here to the upside is for a C wave is the 1-to-1 extension and the 1.236. These two little targets is the most common C wave targets. Very, very, very common. So if this structure is an A, B, C, okay, this is usually 8 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times where the C wave rejects. Very common. If it's going to continue here to the upside and it taps the 1.618 at $102,000, then you increase the probabilities for this to be a third wave. Okay, and maybe we're going to see that 4 and that 5, right? But you could also see a 4 and a 5 from these levels as well. The third wave does not have to tap the 1.618. It's just a very common target for the third wave. Like the 1.236 and the 1-to-1 extension is common C wave targets. The C wave can also hit the 1.618. The only difference between a third wave and a C wave, if this is an A, B, C, and let's say it goes to $102,000, right? It's going to fall very sharply to the downside. Maybe it doesn't even take the high, maybe it finds support over here, but it's going to fall aggressively. That's an ABC, right? It taps the target and it reverses aggressively. If it's a third wave, then it's going to do the following. 1, 2, 3, it's going to do this and make another high. Okay, we've spoken about this during the beginning of the stream. That is a bullish structure. It's not a corrective structure. The retracement is going to become very interesting. That is where I will consider swing trades, right? But I need to still be patient to wait for that structure to play out. I just want to see something here, legends. Okay, right. Cool, legends. Just quickly want to see support and resistances. I want to, I like to just go through all these levels, okay, to see where we are. Okay, we're still a little bit far away from a major level over here. This little pivot looks very interesting to me. So from a Fibonacci perspective, looking at this pivot before the fall happened here to the downside, okay, look at where we're finding resistance at the moment. Very interesting. So it is a place where the structure can start rejecting. Okay. And if this is a 1, 2, 3, you still expect a 4 and a 5. Okay. Another thing I forgot to mention, I'm just giving all the education away over here. Another thing I forgot to mention is if the structure does not make sense on the smaller time frames, zoom out. It's the best advice I can give everyone. Usually when people try and count Elliott wave theory and the structure doesn't make sense, they zoom in. They go into smaller time frames. No, you need to do the opposite. Because when I look at the 1 hour or even the 2 hour time frame over here, and I look at the structure on the larger time frame, okay, from where it started, I can see an impulse. I can see a correction. So that is 1, that is 2. Then I see another impulse, and now this looks like it's starting a correction. So this looks like it's number 3. It still needs a 4 and it still needs a 5. You want to see clear on the larger time frames. You want to clearly see the 5 waves to the upside. If you're zooming in, you can often confuse yourself because then you see a lot more waves inside of the waves and you're like, is this 3? Is that, you can confuse yourself. So the best advice, a very experienced Mr. Koons, for the, you guys know who I'm talking about, Mr. Koons, right? The best advice he ever gave me is to say, Dewald, if the structure doesn't make sense, zoom out. If you can clearly see the 5 waves on the larger time frames, then you know you're onto something. If it still looks like it needs another wave, it most probably needs another wave. Okay, legends, now I want to dive into the daily time frame. Okay, let's get into the interesting questions that some of you have asked over here. Okay, right. I can also go through some comments before we dive in. Is there 5 waves in B with the flat? No, B waves has to be a 3-wave structure. It can be a complex corrective structure, but it has to be 3 waves. A complex WXY, ABC inside of a B wave is perfectly fine, but a B wave is a 3-wave structure. Okay, whether it goes sideways, whether it goes down, it's a lightning bolt. This could be an ABC. Okay, 3-wave B, ABC. It can be a 5, but it's a 3-wave. B waves are always 3-wave structures. They're not allowed to be 5-wave structures. If you can clearly count a 5-wave structure and you think it's a B wave, it's most likely not a B wave. Thanks for the updates. Quarterly shout out from the lurkers. If it hits the 0.5 FIP on the daily from the all-time lows, how do we know if it's a dead cat bounce or just 3 waves corrective before up again? Papa Johns, please go check out the beginning of the live stream. I've explained what we need to look out for in order to confirm bullish continuation to the upside. So I don't want to bore everyone that's been here since the beginning to go and re-explain all of that, but I have explained it. Okay. Dewald, AR sniper. Yes, Mr. Satoshi, I have a big bag of AR. The reason why AR is not in my accumulation bags is because I have enough. I still have a large position in HR. I stopped buying because I have enough. I don't want to overexpose my portfolio into one specific altcoin. So I have enough. And it's not to say that I'm not bullish on a specific altcoin if I'm telling you I'm not buying it anymore. It just could be that I have enough. I don't want to overexpose my portfolio, but I do have a nice little bag of AR. Right, hi Dewald, please check gold as well since it started coming back. Right, well, it makes sense. Okay, crypto is pumping here to the upside. Risk on assets is most probably going to get a little bit of a relief rally, especially if gold is falling to the downside. Okay, cool. Legends, a lot of you have asked me about the larger time frame. Okay, what if this is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? This is what everyone is looking at. Okay. Right, then, well, now we should be going into a bear market. Okay. Legends, there is, okay, I want to get the name of the book. I can't think of it right now. But when you are in bull market territory, like we know we are at the moment, from a timing perspective, we know we are still in bull market timing. Okay, although it doesn't look like we are in a bull market because of this retracement that we've had, right? Everyone thinks that the bear market is starting over here. It's very depressing. We're falling here to the downside. Some of the altcoins are making all-time lows, right? It looks scary. But I remember the same story over here. Bull market is done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, bull market is done. When we were here, everyone screamed for the bear market. Now again, we fell here to the downside, everyone screaming for the bear market. So when we were here, everyone was counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that we are here, everyone's counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It's the impulse or the structure to the downside that gives you the clues. When we formed this structure, you guys can go and rewatch any of the live streams that I did here on the higher time frames. I told everyone the high is not in. It's too choppy. It's too sideways. It's too corrective. And that's the problem. This was corrective. You have an impulse. This was corrective. Very overlappy, very choppy, very confusing, which increased the probabilities of taking the high. And this is now the same thing with this structure over here. Very overlappy, not impulsive. You have a triangle over there. You have a triangle over there. So even if, you know, guys, and I stand by what I said until invalidated, from a technical perspective, even if we claim the low again, the probabilities from a technical perspective are still higher to claim the high before we claim the low. Again, at least. That's always been my highest probability scenario over here. And look at this. If you look at this in the larger time frame, you can see we are starting to hit massive resistance, underbelly resistance over here. Right, so legends, there is a scenario, and what I will do is after this live stream, I'm going to go and map it out perfectly so that everyone understands it. So for now, I'm just going to cover it high level, is that in bull market territory, and I need to highlight this chart over here. Oops, it would help if I click on the right buttons. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, let's go. Okay, you for those of you that's been following me for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the timing cycle for each and every single bull market and bear market that Bitcoin has experienced to date. This model has been respected to the T during every single bear market and during every single bull market. The model has not been invalidated just as yet. This is data. This is not emotions. This is based on data, what has happened. Okay, so from this model's perspective, the bull market is not finished. It's supposed to still continue until the end of October this year. Right, so if I take data into consideration to say that, well, Bitcoin still needs to pump up until the end of October. Okay, why do I say that? Because I have a model that tells me it still needs to do that. Okay, if you are telling me we are going into a bear market, what data do you have to to show to me that we're going into a bear market? Right, so yes, data. Data is telling us the bull market still needs to continue. Whether, you know, and during every single other bull market, there has been retracements. There has been lots of retracements. I can just guarantee you, C19, COVID crash over here, no more bull market. We're going in, you know, Bitcoin is going to zero. I can even imagine with this little retracement over here, bull market is over. We're going to invalidate the model. Guess what? We got another high. Okay. And it ended exactly where it was supposed to end. And then we went into a bear market. Okay. Loads of retracements along the way, right? This was quite an aggressive, steep bull market here to the upside, but it ended exactly where it was supposed to end. We went into a bear market. Now, so for those of you that's saying that we are going into a bear market because of the 5-wave structure to the upside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, yes, I can see the 5-wave structure. Okay, but yeah, I could also, you know, one could argue, well, what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, there was if you want to see 5-wave structures, you're going to see 5-wave structures. It is the most obvious structure, right? But from a timing perspective, it doesn't make sense purely based on data. It's not because I say it or I want to believe it, legends. Based on data, the bull market still needs to bloody continue. Okay, until the model gets invalidated. The model gets invalidated by all means, then we can say we take the model, we throw it in the bin, and then we just rock and roll with price action, and we just all become day traders, and we don't care where the price of Bitcoin is going to go. Okay. So, based on that, legends, there is a theory, an Elliott wave theory, that states that if you are still inside of bull market territory, like I've just shown you, we are still inside of bull market territory, you can very well have extended fifth waves. What is an extended fifth wave? Well, it's basically a structure. Okay, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to get an extended fifth wave. This now becomes the first leg inside of your fifth wave. Hope that makes sense. Let me just do that and make it a different color. Let's make this green. So this could be a scenario that's playing out at the moment, is that extended fifth waves are considered rare in Elliott wave theory. But then the theory also states that if you are in bull market territory, extended fifth waves become common. So this could be the first wave, the first leg inside of the final fifth wave. Good. I don't know, legends. I don't know. There was a lot of fear when we were down here. Altcoins are hitting rock bottom. Dominance is still crashing, skyrocketing. USDT dominance is losing the trend. So there's a couple of signs that are showing us that maybe, just maybe, there's some magic around the corner that no one is seeing at the moment, right? But I would still like a little bit of a retracement just to scare out the bullish people at the moment. You can see that we are hitting resistance here at the moment. I would still like to see, even if you don't claim the low, I would still like to see a little bit of a deeper retracement. Everyone that's FOMOing in at the moment, buy. Let's go, let's go scare the shit out of them. Make a higher low, and then maybe we continue. Okay, let's go liquidate all those 100x and 50x and 20x positions, right? Because I know that nothing just goes up in a straight line. You can see here, you create waves, okay? And then you start chopping. Nothing just does that, right? You're not missing out on anything. There's gonna be a retracement to get back into the price action at better levels. Okay, so that is basically my high time frame analysis. Legends, I am not saying, okay, please guys, I'm not saying that this is the scenario that's going to play out. For me to stay neutral and grounded and realistic, all I'm saying is, based on the current price action that I see inside of this structure, the probabilities are still higher to claim the high before we claim the low. That's all I'm saying right now. That to me is the highest probability at the moment. Let's claim the high. And once Bitcoin claims the high and we get here, then we can talk about, well, is it going to continue or is it an ABC flat? And we are still, we've been busy with the bear market since Jan. We've already been in the bear market since Jan. We just didn't know it. Right. Okay. A, B, C. You see, I heard someone else on a podcast talk about this scenario as well. Is if you have your 5 waves here to the upside, okay? Let's say this is the 5 wave, because this is what some people are looking at as well, okay? I saw a lot of people looking at this scenario. This is A. We're now going up for B, and you can even create a B flat that takes the high, and then we're going to go down for a C. There's a problem with this corrective structure. Okay, it's valid in Elliott wave theory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you create an ABC flat, but there's a problem. It disrespects the model, because this corrective structure is basically going to come to an end almost when we're supposed to go into a bear market. You're going to invalidate the entire model. Even if this corrective structure plays out, you're still going to invalidate the model, because the C wave could potentially end this year even, where the bear market is supposed to start. So there's just some things that doesn't fit together at the moment. From a timing perspective, looking at the models, looking at this, looking at where Bitcoin is, looking at the fear and greed index, looking at the corrective structure here to the downside, it just looks and screams like it wants to still go up before it claims the low. The bear market is not here yet. Okay, so right, legends, it's nice to talk about bullish case scenarios when price is pumping. I've often found that when I talk about insane bullish case scenarios, like I've just done, okay, like what if scenario, what if we get this, right? When price is pumping and I talk about scenarios like this, people get super excited. I get so many comments after the live stream. Yeah, Dewald, you nailed it. You nailed it. But when price is dumping and I talk about scenarios like this, people unsubscribe and leave me nasty comments. It's just, it's an emotional game at the end of the day. People don't want price to go down. They just want it to go up, and they want to hear bullish news when price is going up. They don't want to hear bullish news when price is falling. Okay. Just like in today's thumbnail, I said be careful. People don't like that. Price is pumping. Why are you being careful, Dewald? Because I have to point out from a technical perspective that this can be an ABC and it can still fall to the downside. We need this. We need that. Right? We need a bigger 5-wave structure. Right, Dewald, it can be shallower. Yes, it can be shallower. The ABC, I'm guessing you're talking about the ABC, DK. Right, legends, remember, if you'd like to come and day trade here with me, if you're loading up on some of your favorite altcoins, if you're buying some of the favorite or some of the altcoins that I'm highlighting here at the moment, the exchanges are down in the description for the biggest sign-up bonuses. Okay, 20% cash back on the money that you deposit, 25% discount on your trading fees, and you can select this link to register and trade to win a Ferrari and some amazing other prizes as well. Okay, it's also your way to support the channel, and it also enables me to keep on coming back and give you guys the live streams, right? To prepare. But you guys, this is not just me switching on the button and then yeah, I am, right? There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, a lot of work, preparation, research, making sure that I'm not smoking my socks when I come and present the technical analysis. And yes, as technical analysts, we don't always get it right, but that is why we trade with stop losses. Okay, legends, thank you so much for joining the live stream. Dewald, I'm struggling with fees. I calculate the position size, so there is 1%, but then opening and closing fees are another 2%. Yeah, Dimitri, I think talking about fees is going to be a whole live stream just by itself, or perhaps just a section inside of a live stream. Okay, right, but definitely something to consider when you are opening. I can't, some exchanges will actually tell you the fees before you enter the position. Some exchanges don't tell you, but yeah, I don't want to dive into that right now. Alex, thank you so much. Love your TA. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Dewald, altcoins, AR, Theta. Yes, I think I'm going to do maybe another live stream later tonight, and then we can go and look at. I'm just thinking, before I say goodbye, I can already see people are dropping off here. Should I do a couple of altcoins now? I'm thinking, maybe I should do a couple of altcoins now. Okay, let's see. How many likes do I have? If I get 10 more likes, I see we're on 130 likes at the moment. If I get 10 more likes, I will go look at 5 altcoins, maybe even more. Can I get 10 more likes? Let's see. Okay, and then I will definitely go and have a look at AR. Right, H bar. Let's see what we have over here. Okay, let me open up so long while the likes come in. Oh, we're almost at 10 likes. I think we're going to get more than 10 likes. I know this community. They're absolutely amazing. Okay, there we go. More than 10 likes. More than 10 likes. There we go. So, legends, something, I'm going to dive into the altcoins now, but something I wanted to point out, okay, is not all altcoins are created equal. What do I mean by that? When I go through my red list over here, okay, and please guys, don't take what I'm saying out of proportion, okay? Let me explain what I'm seeing over here. Is that when I look at DOT, for example, DOT has made all-time lows. It's made all-time lows, which means, okay, if you want parabolic price action to the upside, it needs to build a 1-2 again to get a third wave back to the upside. If you want real face melting price action, you need a 1-2 that has a higher low, okay, to get a third, because third waves are the most explosive, the most aggressive, and they almost don't have targets. They just go, right? But you need this. You need this with a higher low. Now that I'm looking at some of the alts, and I'm not saying they can't do this. They can do this again. They can do this again. So it's still nice little X's to the upside, but it's not going to be face melting like some of the other alts that are still showing strength. Like Fetch, for example. Like ICP. Like Doge. They have structures like this. They have not claimed the lows. They still look strong. I think, for lack of a better word, I'm looking at altcoins that have still intact bullish structures where they've had their rampages to the upside and they are still in higher low territory. That to me becomes very interesting for an explosion to the upside. And that's why I'm saying I don't think all altcoins are created equal, because when I look at DOT, yes, it can run, but is it going to give you that, those X's that you are looking for? Okay, is it going to give you those X's? When I look at Pepe, why did I highlight Pepe over here? Okay, that's a bad example. Let's look at, sorry guys, I'm here on the wrong list. When I look at XTZ, okay, I'm on the different red list over here. Look at XTZ. It's claimed the lows. I don't like it. Yes, it can go. I don't like it from a structural perspective. When I look at GMX, okay, don't like it. When I look at KSM, don't like it. You can see all of these ones have claimed the lows. When I look at EGLD, they've claimed the lows. Yes, they can pump. They can pump still aggressively. They can still even come and claim these highs over here. Definitely. So I'm not saying they can't pump. I, as a technical trader, are looking for tokens that have done, the best example over here is ICP. Let's look at ICP and even Link. Okay. I'm looking at altcoins that have built an impulsive structure and they still have higher lows. Because if the structure before, okay, before the dump is creating a higher low, you increase the probabilities of taking that high and even going beyond, far beyond. These are the type of altcoins that I am trying to get into and or are positioning myself into. Right. Now let's go and look at AR. Someone has asked for AR. Okay, so AR is hanging on by a thread. Is hanging on by a thread. But when I look at this structure, okay, let's zoom in. AR has still has a higher low. Okay, this looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has an impulsive structure to the upside in 5 waves. And all of this has been a 3-wave corrective structure. You can clearly see the 3-wave corrective structure. Okay, and it has also hit a very common 3-wave corrective structure target. As long as AR can hold this higher low, I'm expecting magic here to the upside to claim the high and potentially even go far beyond. Okay, and for now, AR is still holding its macro bullish structure. I have told everyone that I am going, I do have a big bag of AR. If it claims the low, I will deploy my exit strategy. And I will go through my exit strategy if it does claim the low. If AR falls down here, then I'm going to deploy my exit strategy. So I'm not going to take a loss. I just need to be patient. I'm going to deploy my exit strategy and I'll most probably still walk away with profits, but with less profits. Okay, so AR still looks great from a larger time frame perspective. Okay, it has claimed the 0.88 over there. Let me just drag this so everyone can see. Where's that? Okay, it has claimed the 0.88, which increases the probabilities of claiming the low, but the only hardcore rule in Elliott wave theory is that your second wave can even retrace up to 99% of your impulse, and it is still a valid second wave. It has found support at the 1.236. When I measure this corrective structure to the downside, it has hit a 1.236 target. So there's a chance that the low could be in on AR over here. Okay. There's still the 1.618 here at the bottom, right? And that is where I'll deploy my exit strategy, because there's a high chance it's going to still do that, but it rolls over. Okay. And then it continues to fall to the downside. And this is where I will exit. So I will deploy my exit strategy. But for now, it still looks good, right? Okay. Someone has asked for Fetch. Fetch is actually one that I have been aggressively buying 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I bought Fetch. Where is Mr. Fetch over here? Did I put it in this list? Okay, let me go search for it. It's going to just be better. Fetch. Here we go. Right. There we go. Let's zoom into the daily time frame. And as you guys can see, I have done quite extensive technical analysis on the ones that I'm accumulating here at the moment. Okay, so Fetch, I mean, this is insane, guys. This is really insane. Look at where the low is and look at where price is at the moment. This is look at that higher low. The structure is insanely bullish. Fetch looks absolutely fantastic. Okay, what can I say? What can I say? Right. Also, I can count the 5 waves here to the upside. This looks like it was a B corrective structure. We are now coming to an end in a C wave. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in an A wave. You have a 3 wave B wave, and now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of your C wave. So there's a chance that the low is in on Fetch. If it comes down further, remember, there's always more targets to the downside. There's a chance that the low is in on Fetch. And if it does fall down again, I'm looking at $3. Oh, $3, 3 cents. 3 cents. You have the 1.236 and the 786. Really, really good targets over here. And I'm basically just looking at the structure from here. I'm looking at this structure. Okay, I'm actually ignoring this at the moment because that just makes it more bullish. Right, so I'm just looking at Fetch from over here. Right, so it has not, even if Fetch comes down and it taps 3 cents, I will be aggressively buying Fetch over there. Right, and I can just imagine the fear if it did have to hit those levels. Okay, when you're on the regular chart, it looks scary, right? It looks very scary when you're on the regular chart. Okay, I just want to see which targets we hit. 0.618 is also a corrective structure target over here. But right, it's starting to cool over. I think this is what's interesting to me from a trend line perspective. I like. Can you guys see? You have the aggressive pivots here to the downside. Okay, it's falling aggressively. Look at how far those two pivots are. But then it's starting to get closer to each other. Can you see that price is rolling over? Can you see that? Selling pressure is getting exhausted. This is what this is showing me. Selling pressure is getting exhausted. Can you still go and claim the low? Of course, you can go and still claim the low. But maybe I think, that will then definitely be the low. But this could also be the low. But I can see that selling pressure is getting exhausted. It has broken trend over there. Let me clean up the chart so you guys can see. This is what I've been waiting for. Okay, Fetch broke trend. Broke trend, it's bumping it to the upside. Stop usually goes below the low. You're targeting the highs, this little resistance area over here. Okay, I bought Fetch 2 weeks ago. Quite a nice bag of Fetch. I just like the structure. Okay, right. What is your exit strategy if AR claims the lows? I will go through that once it does claim the lows. Okay, I don't want to talk about exit strategies right now. There's a chance that it could find upwards momentum. But when AR does hit the low, I will share with everyone where I'm planning to, because it's going to take weeks to play out, guys. It's not going to happen overnight. If AR claims the lows, I'm going to tell you, okay, if price gets here, this is where I'm getting out. It's going to take, it's not going to happen in days. It's going to take, the exit strategy is going to take weeks to play out, not days. So there will be time to discuss that. Right. Okay. Alex, H bar. Let's go look at H bar. And remember, guys, to keep on hitting that like button. Oh, wow. We almost have the same amount of likes as people watching the stream at the moment. Okay. H-bar on lower time frame. Okay, Alex, you want H-bar on lower time frame. So you're obviously day trading it, or maybe you're looking to get into it. H-bar is on my red list, not because it's bad. H-bar is actually on my red list because it's too bullish, right? H-bar has done some amazing things. So here on the daily time frame, H-bar is breaking out. Okay, just simple technical analysis. It's breaking out. And I do like that it's claimed these highs over here, but I wanted to go and claim that high before the drop. I wanted to go and claim that high over there. So it looks great. On the daily, it's breaking out. Yes, remember everything that breaks out can come back for a retest. Just remember that. Okay, that becomes a buying opportunity again. Right, but Alex, you wanted. Let's go on to the 1 hour time frame and see what is cooking over here. Oof, I mean, wow, look at these little breakouts. Okay, look at those little breakout over there. Where price is at the moment, it's a no trade zone for me. This is, yeah, I do not trade when I see this. I do not. Okay, I need a longer consolidation. I need something like this for me to jump back into a trade, or at least something to that size where I can see the trend properly. Okay, so that I can apply my trading strategy. Let's go into the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, I mean, there's been a nice little break. There's been nice little breakouts over here. Okay, even on the smaller time frames. Look at the D-line strategy, just doing its magic. But this is a no trade zone. There's no clear trend. I need more information. It needs to do this. Okay, I need more information, and then you can see a trend is forming over there. As long as it's just doing this, there's nothing to trade. Okay, so H-bar is in a no trade zone for me at the moment. Right, Alex, I hope that is... I'm short. Where could it come back to? I'm short on H-bar. Okay, so if H-bar is hitting resistance, let's see if it's hitting some resistance. Yes, it is hitting resistance. So the best place always to take profits is when you start hitting support to the downside. Okay, so if I zoom into this little structure, so if you are short and you want to know where to take profits, okay, there's massive support there to the downside. Right, so right, if you are short smaller time frames, because this is now larger time frames, you could even bounce here above the highs. Right, if you're scalping, okay, that becomes your profit taking area. Look at this, resistance, 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 resistance. You've now broken out, so maybe you come back for an RS flip and then it continues. So this definitely becomes a profit taking area. 17 cents, well, 17.4 cents, 17.461 cents. Let me be more specific. Right, so if you're in a small little day trade and you short it, manage to catch that short over there, right, you can see this is obvious support. Okay, and then a little bit further down where I have it as well, right, there's also support there. So you could potentially leave some of the position open. Maybe it comes to this level. Okay, cool, legends. I see some people have dropped here off the live stream. I've gone through a couple of alts. Thank you so much for your support. I'm really going this time around. Remember to smash up that like button. The exchanges that I use is always down in the description. Also your way to support the channel. No documents required. You can just sign up with an email and a password and start trading. And Legends, thanks so much for joining. Until the next one, cheers for now.